Good morning, beautiful, blessed people. How are you doing today? I want you to know that you are so beautiful, you are so loved, you are so rare. There's nobody like you in this universe, okay? So let's get into this. Basically, my goals for 2025, I have a lot of physical goals as well as emotional goals, and it all comes down to being self-sufficient on my own and being healthy. Now, I have so far been conquering my goals physically. I've cut out coffee, which my coffee addiction was like crazy. I cut off coffee. I'm trying to be healthy right now, cutting out sugar. I'm going to the gym every morning, and I'm also like filming my videos and doing all of that, and like journaling and meditating. Like I'm doing everything physically. And now the emotional things are starting to come up, and I knew this was coming. I recognize that I have a lot of things to heal from, and this is the worst part. Like, honestly, the hard part isn't the physical stuff. The hard part isn't the physical stuff because you can kind of like follow a plan. You can follow a plan. You can, I don't know, it just feels like you can take breaks from it by sleeping and like, you know what I mean? Like physical stuff isn't all the time. It's the mental and emotional stuff that literally feels like you're dying. Because your mental and emotional is what shapes your perception of everything. And so when you are trying to confront demons basically in your fucking mind, it literally can alter your entire life. Because the perception that you have of your life will predict how your days are gonna go. It will predict your mood. And so if you're going through shit, you're gonna be in a bad fucking mood. And when you're trying to be positive and trying to just see the good in everything, that can be very hard to deal with. So that's kind of what I'm dealing with right now. And so I want to make today's video about just kind of the things I'm dealing with, and hopefully it will give some advice to other people going through the same things that are also trying to just better themselves in every single aspect of their life. So recently, I've talked about this, but I recently ended something with somebody, and I knew and felt that that was the right thing to do, because we just weren't a right match, and we just started to argue all the time, and it just felt like intuitively like me and this person aren't on the same wavelength, and so continuing this will just lead to more arguments, and I need to focus on myself. I've been knowing this for years. I've been wanting to just be single, but I kept getting into things out of fear of being alone, and so I finally said, okay, enough is enough. I do feel like I have the strength to do this now, and I've been riding with that momentum, like, okay, yes, I have the strength. I feel good. I'm in a good headspace to finally confront this shit by myself, and now it's all hitting me, and I still like see this person around in my life, and it's really fucking hard to still be around them, because now all these emotions are coming up, and I'm really oh my god, I don't want to cry because this is supposed to be advice for other people, but I also recognize that me talking about my own emotions has helped people in the past, so we're just gonna ride it. I'm not crying though because I just did my makeup, and we're staying in a positive energy, but know that the emotions are there. So basically, yeah, I'm having all these emotions come up, and now I'm starting to question, like, what, like maybe I should tell them how I feel, and maybe I made the wrong choice, and can I be alone? Can I really do this by myself? I don't want to. This fucking sucks. And I'm having like these crazy thoughts too. Like, you know, when you start spiraling about shit, like I'm self-aware enough to know that I'm being crazy and that my thoughts are just me being insecure, but I'm starting to spiral about little things and conspiracy theorize in my fucking head about what this person is doing, and it's just like, it's really taking it a lot from me not to lose it. And like, you guys know, like if you're a girl, you know what I'm feeling. Like, you just feel fucking crazy. Like, this is what like relationships do to you when shit happens in them. You go crazy because it's like you just feel so deeply, and so when things go wrong, it literally feels like, oh my god, I can't do this. Like, I literally cannot do this. How am I supposed to focus on anything in life when I feel so deeply about this person and what's happening between us? And so I've literally been talking myself off the ledge, and I don't mean like literally, but I mean like I've been talking myself out of so many mindsets like I get like super sad and I'm like thinking all these things and I'm like, okay, no, wait. You felt not the entire time, but you felt a lot of the times like this person wasn't right for you and that you needed to focus on yourself. So it wasn't the wrong decision. And you also like felt that you needed to be alone. So you can do it. You can do it. And it's kind of like when you get into these negative mindsets, and this applies to anything, it's not just like this relationship stuff, but when you start thinking these negative thoughts, you need to start getting into an awareness where you know that they're not true, and it's about talking yourself out of them and proving to your mind why they're not true. Because if you don't do that, you will act on emotions, and most people do. Most people just act on their emotions without thinking them through. And I know like emotion, and that's what's hard, is like emotions are feelings. Like logic and emotions are two separate things. So having to sit there and logically like think out your emotions, it's really hard. You have to sit there and kind of like, have you guys ever seen Big Mouth, where there's all these different feelings? So there's like the logical rock, there's the anxiety mosquito, like there's all these things, there's the depression cat, and basically like you need to separate these feelings in your mind. Like, okay, this feeling that I'm feeling is anxiety about being alone, about them moving on, about I'm not crying, about them forgetting about you and just like acting like you don't exist. And then you need to have the logical rock come in and be like, okay, so let's separate all these feelings and think about them logically. And this is the shit I do in my mind to talk myself out of doing crazy shit. And by crazy shit, I mean sending long fucking paragraphs saying my feelings, because you've probably experienced this, but it never usually goes the way you want. Like you can think like, oh yeah, I'm gonna tell this person this long paragraph and then they're just gonna understand and they're going to hear me out and then we're gonna have a heart to heart. And it never goes that way, because most often than not, for me, I've been with emotionally unavailable people that aren't good at opening up. And so the times that I've done that, I'm expecting like this heart to heart, and then they just brush you off and they're super nonchalant about it because they don't want to process that they're also in pain too. So they'd rather show you like, oh, this isn't even affecting me. And then it drives you even more crazy because you're like, oh, they're not affected by this at all. And the thing that you need to realize is whether they're affected by it or not, that does not matter. Because number one, if they are affected by it and they don't want to share that with you, you cannot control that. And like, you can't force somebody to open up about their emotions, and you just have to wish that they heal on their own. And if they're not thinking about you at all and they don't care, then you just have to be like, oh, okay, so why do I care about this person that does not care about me? Because it's not healthy or normal for somebody to just move on that quickly. So if that were the case, which it's probably not, they're just putting on a front, but if that were the case, you don't want to fuck with somebody like that anyways, because that's sociopathic. So yes, when you're going through anything in life, it is very important to talk yourself off the ledge and to really sit there and think before you act and think before you speak. Like really take like a day or two to sit and be like, okay, like, did this person do something, or is this my insecurities? Is this worth saying? If they don't respond the way I want, is this gonna make it worse for me? You really need to start putting your mental health in your hands, because putting your mental health and your emotions in someone else's hands is fucking dangerous, because they could shatter you and then you could derail off of all your goals. And this is what has happened to me in the past, is I put my mental health and my emotional balance in the hands of somebody else, and then when they don't act the way that I want, I fall apart, I fall off of my goals, I stop caring, I fall into a depression, and I start feeling insecure, and then it takes all this time and effort for me to pull myself out of this hole where I have to build up my self-confidence again. And then the cycle continues where I just end up getting into another thing with another guy that doesn't care. And so these are the types of cycles that I'm trying to break, and I want to help other people break as well, because I know I'm not the only girl that falls into these like one-sided, nonchalant ass relationships with unavailable people. And it is so, I know how crazy you feel. Like, I have been so fucking crazy over people where you literally can't sleep, you can't fucking think, because you're like, oh my god, like I just need, and it's like, you need to just chill the fuck out and focus all of your attention back on yourself. Because no matter what, you cannot control another person or what happens. Even if you fight and claw and cry and tell them everything, you still cannot control what they're gonna say or do. And so it is very important for you to focus on yourself and to just like reel it back in and be like, okay, I'm not gonna send that text because I need to think about things first and really, really think about if it's worth it. I think it's way more beneficial to you to journal. Like, journaling really does help you like think through things. There's been so many times where like I have all these feelings built up and then I write it all on paper and I read it back and I'm like, oh my God, like I feel so much better, or like it makes so much sense to me now, or wow, I have the answer because all I need to do is write it out. It is so much better to do that. Another thing that I really recommend, if you just feel like you cannot get over somebody, or you just feel like you can't deal with your emotions, like you just feel like all of your energy is focused on them and you can't focus on anything else, I recommend doing like, okay, there's levels to this. So you could just write a letter to them and not send it and like burn it, or just like keep it. Like, that is really, I've done it before and it really helps. And get everything out that you've ever wanted to say, and say it as if they're not gonna hear it, because I feel like when you think that they're going to read it, you almost like hold back in a way. Like, say it as if you're talking to them, but like they're never going to read it. Like, put all of your deepest thoughts on there that you've ever wanted to say, and cry and fucking like get angry and get it all out into that paper. And then you can take this a step further if you are into spirituality. Something I've done is you take it's called a cord cutting ritual, but you take 2 candles. One represents you and one represents the other person. You write your name and then their name. You put the candles beside each other on like a plate, and then you tie a string around it, and the string symbolizes your energy tied together. And so you light these 2 candles. You light yours first and theirs second, because your light comes first, your energy. And you basically, while these candles are lighting, you are writing all of this. And then you can sit there and you have to get to the place where you are thankful for them, but not like have hatred. Like, you need to get all of it out and then come to a place where you're like, okay, I am ready. And once you feel ready, like you are okay with no longer thinking or hearing about them again and dealing with it, like you have to be at the point where you need to move on. You take a lighter and you light that string and you break the tie, and you can sit there. You can sit there and blow their candle out, and you can let yours just continue to burn because your light should continue. But if you want to blow yours out, you can do that also, but just make sure you blow yours out second. When I tell you this works, it works. And I did this with somebody that I could not get over. I had a lot of trauma from them, and I literally had fucking PTSD. I couldn't sleep. I was having flashbacks, and I was like, and it's been like years, and I was like, I need to get over this. I need to move on from this person. And I did this spell, and I'm telling you, like, I have moved on. And obviously, like, healing isn't linear. You don't just like heal from something and never think about it again. So I still use that thing in my life to heal, and I'm sure there's still themes of that relationship that still apply in my life now that I still like need to heal from. But when I say that I don't like have sleepless nights or flashbacks, like I feel like it worked. Like I really feel like I was able to like move on and think about bigger and better things. Being somebody that is dependent on other people's emotions is really dangerous, and I understand how hard it is, and that's kind of how I feel right now. I just feel fragile. I feel dependent on me and this person being on good terms, and if we're not, I don't feel like I can continue on. I just feel like I will be a mess, and I don't really know how to get over it right now. I don't feel like I'm at the place to do a cord cutting ritual because it's so fresh, and so that's kind of just like what I'm dealing with right now, is these struggling feelings of being alone, because again, that was my goal for 2025, is to be alone and be comfortable with that. And so now I'm really starting to feel like, okay, this is real. I'm alone and I have to deal with my emotions by myself, and I can no longer depend on somebody to take care of me emotionally. I need to figure this out myself. And so I'm trying to journal, and I need to do more like activities by myself where I'm just really getting in touch. But honestly, it is a little bit hard just because because I'm doing so many things physically, I don't really have a lot of time for myself, and I'm trying to make time, but I always feel like I'm running out of time. So that's kind of like what I'm struggling with right now. But even if it's just a little bit of time, you always have to make time for yourself and your emotions. And I promise, when you do make that time to connect with yourself and process things, you do feel a lot more stable. Not connecting with yourself and just putting all of your emotions into one person and having them decide your mood is so dangerous. Like, it literally can ruin your everything, your perception of yourself, your mood, how you see everything, because things could happen in the day, and if you are in a good mood and mentally stable, you could view these things as, oh, it's not a big deal, but if you have these things going on where you're letting this person alter your mood in a negative way, and you just feel emotionally unstable, all these little things can feel like, oh my god, it's just one thing after the next, and I can't, and that's how I get most of the time. I often feel like, oh my god, there's all these things and I'm dealing with it by myself, and it's like, I don't want to be in this energy anymore. I want to be able to handle shit. And it's like, this all goes back to abandonment as a child. Like, I know that it's not even about this person. I've been knowing this. My issues I have are from feeling unsafe and abandoned as a child. And so I know that those are the real feelings that I need to get to. And it's fucking scary. Because dealing with heartbreak is one thing. But dealing with the heartbreak of being a child that you haven't really dealt with since you were a child, it feels really hard. It just feels really like it's all too much, and it's like, I don't even know how to tackle this. But again, it all starts one thing at a time, taking time with one issue, addressing it, journaling about it, and crying about it, and then finding new healthy ways to cope or to deal with it. I kind of want to talk about the healthy ways to cope with this stuff, because with the shadow work and the journaling and all of that, you also need to pair it with healthy activities for your emotions. And so usually, like, after I would journal and do some sort of shadow work and healing with myself, I would do something loving towards myself. So what I did is I wrote out the 5 love languages. So there's physical touch, words of affirmation, gift giving, acts of service, and what's the other one? I don't know, there's a 5th one. Quality time. And so I would recommend writing out those 5 love languages, and then writing a list for each one of those that you could do for yourself. So like, quality time is just like doing something you love with yourself. Gift giving, buy yourself something that you've been wanting. Physical touch, give yourself a massage and just like take care of your body, brush your hair, and just make yourself feel pretty. And then acts of service, like, do something for yourself in advance that sets future you up with success. Do like an acts of service, like, oh, like, you'll look back and be like, oh, I'm so glad I did that for myself. And then words of affirmation, like, affirm to yourself every day how amazing you are. And every time you feel these negative emotions, reaffirm that they're not true, give a reason why they're not true, and then enforce it with a positive affirmation. I promise you guys, if you do this stuff, you will start to feel better. And this is what I'm trying to do right now. I haven't like really went into overdrive with it as much as I have with my physical goals, and so that's my next goal, is to really go into overdrive with my mental and emotional health, because it's time. I no longer want to feel this way. I want to become emotionally stable, and that's kind of where I'm at. I want you guys to know that I'm here for you, and I think you're doing an amazing job. If you're going through anything like this, I'm sending you love and support and healing, and I believe in you. You are so rare and special. You have so many talents and gifts, and nothing can get in your way. My name is Sydney, and if you like my vibe, make sure you subscribe, and I will see you guys in the next video. Bye!